everything.
Right.
Negotiating's huge.
I have to be able to negotiate as your fiduciary on your behalf.
Yeah, so it's a constant balancing act. Everything begins and ends with people. Everything, and it sounds so obvious. The homes, which are really interesting, but it's the people who buy the homes and populate them.
We talk about tech, mindset, real estate, the market, the journey that it takes to be an entrepreneur, to build your own business, and avoiding the traps along the way. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Elite Zone podcast, where we sit down with real estate agents, mortgage professionals, marketers, business owners, and all kinds of interesting people. We talk about tech, mindset, real estate, the market. We talk about the journey that it takes to be an entrepreneur, to build your own business, and avoiding the traps along the way. My name is Max Bergstrom. I am your host, and today I've got like the double team going on. I know there's...
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, there's a couple people missing from the Powerhouse team.
Right.
But I've got Sandi Weaver and John Wilcox from Powerhouse Properties in Ritzy Del Mar.
Yeah, baby.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, we came all the way down from North County, man.
That's right. I love North County.
I know you do.
I wish I could get back up there.
Yeah. It was nice to bump into you a couple of times recently up there.
I think I could afford maybe like somebody's jungle gym in their backyard.
It's kind of
put an offer in on that.
It's kind of true all over, isn't it? I know, it's crazy.
It is. It's rough.
I know.
It's a little bit rough.
Crazy with the fair right now. So
I'll bet.
don't come up this week.
Yeah.
Come up next week.
Right.
Week
Yeah,
after.
we live in North County. Don't come here.
I know.
It's like something I
Well,
saw somebody talk about
I just
California.
meant you because I know you. Everybody else, come on up.
You
Oops,
can
sorry.
come.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, I'll come up then, and I'll live with one of you guys.
You stay at our place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Sounds
nice.
good.
Thanks for having us, Max.
Of
It's good
course.
to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Very good.
So interestingly enough, I've been friends with you, John, for going on 8 years now.
Yeah.
Because I met you like when I started, when I first moved here.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I know a little bit about, he doesn't talk much about real estate.
No, he just gets it done. He's
Just-
just
he's
busy,
yeah.
busy getting stuff done.
I'm kind of like
Yes.
under the radar.
Yes, and you got your brother and sister.
We are.
We are.
Yeah. Yep.
So
This
how?
is my younger sister.
He knew
That's
I
our
was going to
joke.
say.
Right.
Yeah,
I
he's
beat
my
her.
older
I beat
brother.
her to it.
I know she told me
Yeah.
the same thing.
It's the long running joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I don't know why I say it because he's clearly the younger brother, but it just makes me feel
Not
better.
so clearly, but anyway,
Very
yeah,
clearly.
yeah. We are brother and sister, and we grew up in Del Mar. Actually, we were lucky to. We moved down here from the L.A. area. What is that?
1975.
Right,
So that's
50 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. It was 10 years before I was born.
I know, buddy.
Oh my God.
I get it.
But I'm almost 40, so I'm getting there.
Oh,
I
wow.
get it.
Good,
I'm getting
I
good.
can't believe that.
Isn't that nuts?
You look great too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But
Botox helps.
I want to talk to you about that. Later.
Yeah, we have big parties.
Is that one of your sponsors? Yeah.
Oh man, no! Don't tell anybody. I mean, especially Alex. Don't tell him. He'll give me a hard time. But
Good.
no,
secret is
I
safe.
got the crow's feet.
Oh please.
Now,
I'm
skin.
from the Midwest, right?
Yeah,
like I
your
came here.
skin's great.
My girlfriend's like, "Oh, you gotta try Botox," and I'm like, like how's ego? But yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And she's like, "Well, just try it once. I'll pay for it." And I tried it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I
like
can't
the
even."
Botox.
Yeah.
I know.
So now we do it, but
That's
Now we
crazy.
do.
I
It's a
love that
date
you.
night.
I love that you talk about that.
absolutely
You're a crazy cat.
the power of vulnerability.
I do.
You
just honesty.
make
right?
fun of me. Go for it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I want to know. How did you like when you were little? Were you like, I want to be a real estate agent? Like, how did you, how did you get into this? And particularly, it's interesting to me when you have two siblings that are kind of doing the same thing. So,
Right.
tell me about the journey. How did you get doing this?
Right.
Well, we did we wake up and think that, or when we were young, or have that revelation? Not so young, but still pretty young, because we've had real estate in our family for a long time. Our mom was involved, and she was a realtor in the same area.
Okay.
And so
Gotcha.
dinner conversation and
Right.
conversation in general was always about real estate. And she and our stepfather, they dabbled in buying real estate for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
We were always with them, trying to help them. They'd have to fix it up, refurbish it,
Sure.
places, and then maybe flip it.
It was part of.
So
it was just kind of part of our upbringing. I mean, we joked
Yeah.
that at dinner
We
table
loved
we
it.
were talking about 1031 exchanges and stuff like that.
Exhilarating.
Yeah,
Seriously,
exhilarating. Super
exhilarating.
fun.
But good to know, right?
Listen,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, our mom was, she was originally a school teacher, but when she came down here, got
Right.
into real estate.
Century 21.
Century 21.
Okay.
With the
Gold
gold jacket.
C21.
With the
brown
gold jacket
pants.
and everything.
Ooh.
Right. And
She was a lady about town,
She
huh?
was, and she got into it. And then,
Did a good job.
interestingly, just to talk about how much things have changed, and you talked about expense and what it costs. I mean, they were able to buy a house down in Del Mar,
Yeah.
close to the beach, for what was essentially about 3 years worth of our stepdad's salary.
Right.
And that just doesn't hold true anymore unless you're making $1 million a year.
Right.
And
Right.
so, and then little by little, they were able to buy a number of other properties
Yeah.
and hold them as rentals, and income properties.
It's very smart.
It worked out really well, but they were able to do that,
Yeah.
and
Times have changed.
times have really
Times
changed.
have really changed.
And
They
that's
could-
even with interest rates sometimes being as high as 12 and 13%.
Right.
When we bought our home, that was in, oh my gosh, I can't even think right now. But anyway, 2000 maybe. No, a little bit before
A little
that.
before that.
Before that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but interest rates were 13, 14%.
They were
I'm
higher.
sure when you did, no, higher, 16%, I think.
Something crazy.
Wow.
Anyway, and for our parents, they were fairly high too. But they
The
were
list price, though.
they were frugal, the two of them. But even still, it was easier
They
to
were,
buy.
yeah.
And even down by the beach.
I know it. So anyway, we were really lucky to grow up there, and of course, it was kind of a whole different feel back then. It was really beachy and a much different feel than a lot of areas around San Diego.
More like the quintessential, kind of surf vibe town.
It was definitely
Yes.
surf vibe.
Yeah.
Little cottages.
A lot of college professors owned there, and they would, when they were gone for the summer, not teaching, then they would rent it out, and they would take off and go on vacation.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then, and then of course people came and were by the racetrack, so people would come for the
Of
track
course.
and stay there too.
Yeah, that's world renowned.
Yeah.
And then to
great.
further just kind of cement the deal and keep it in the family, Sandy
Yeah.
met her husband, my brother-in-law,
Tracy?
Tracy Weaver.
Yes.
And he was in real estate. And so he started in the business about 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
And he's the broker,
Yes.
right?
He is, he does have his broker's license.
Gotcha.
We all
Right.
work under EXP
Right.
at the
Right,
moment
right.
as our brokerage of record. But he's
Right.
a broker, and he's been doing it really longer than any of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Almost 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, well, 38, something like that. So, a long time. Yeah. When he sold his first home down in the beach colony, and
Right.
he was hooked. Quit his job at Brigantine. So
Oh,
I'm in.
I love that place.
And they knew each other from high school.
We
Oh,
did.
okay.
Didn't really date
We
from Torrey
did.
Pines. We're both Torrey Pines graduates.
Okay.
And of course, I'm was graduated before her in order to maintain that
Right.
timeline. Right.
Of course.
Right.
I don't know how you did that. 'cause
Several
school was-
years before.
School was barely built, but anyway.
Yeah. And then so they met, and then about when was it? About 15 years ago, we kind of all got together and decided to actually form Powerhouse Properties.
Cool.
The group.
Yep.
And the team and the logo and the identity and all of that. And,
From the ground up.
Yeah, we really kind of did. It was always really in the back of Tracy's mind primarily, but Sandy, of course, too. And it's just such an iconic emblem of Del Mar, And
Totally.
That's how we came up with
and that's
the
how we
name,
came up with
obviously.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Made our own thank you notes.
Ooh, very
and
good.
did
Here,
it.
hold that up right there.
Pen and ink.
Here's the Powerhouse Properties logo.
Yes, and we had someone do a pen and ink of that. That's the actual Powerhouse.
It
and then
looks
our
very
logo,
Del
you
Mar.
can't
It's
see.
very Del Mar, and it's just kind of iconic of the whole coastal community. And I know that's one thing that we were going to talk about too, is kind of what our niche is, and
Right.
our niche and where we work. And so it's really focuses a lot on North County coastal, just because that's where we're located, Del Mar,
Absolutely.
Salado Beach, Rancho Santa Fe,
Right.
Cardiff. But we're all over the place, like any good realtor, you know. And Sean and I, when we first got into the biz, we were right down here actually, and we lived in North Park.
Okay, I
And
love North Park
our
too.
first broker was Coldwell Banker, and we were right down here in Mission Valley.
Cool.
You know, so and we still will show properties down here,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know,
We'll go everywhere, anywhere. And so it's a lot. It's a big area to know about. But, you know, like John said, we specialize in kind of the coastal area, but we are very familiar with all the other areas. And so
well, yeah, when you give
it's
it 50
fun to
years.
keep up with it. Yeah, give it 50.
Give it
I wasn't
50
going to say
give
that
it 50
part.
years, right? And you'll get familiar with any area, right?
Well, yeah,
We've
and
had
that's
time. We've had time.
for sure. But, you know, this quote sticks in my head is, you know, don't confuse the menu for the meal. And so what I mean by that is, like, I can go, you know, I'm in the digital marketing space.
Right.
So I help real estate agents build their brand, content, lead generation, brand elevation, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But, you know, I can read a book and take a course on how to do that.
Right.
But then when I'm actually doing it, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that comes up that wasn't in that, you know, like you actually need the
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and you know, that's why I
Get
think
your
it's
eyes on it or
exactly.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have to actually try it. So don't confuse reading about something for actually doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a real estate license. It's just on the shelf now because I found out I wasn't a very good agent. But I passed the exam, and then when I started doing it, I was like, there's nothing on the exam about that, you know, like
Right.
it's just, you know, one of those things where through life experience that I feel like you can add the most value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it's definitely that kind of a profession.
Yes.
And we tell when we have young people in the office saying, you know, what should I study for the exam? They maybe don't quite have their exam yet or their license yet. Honestly, anyone who's thinking about taking it, just memorize those questions at the end
Yeah.
because that's applicable, but really it's just you just need to be out there
Right.
to really learn
It is.
what's happening.
Right. And
Just
you'll
start
learn the
living
most
it.
about the contracts when you actually do your first
Exactly,
contract, right?
exactly.
Have to start doing it.
You just got to start doing it.
It's
God,
a-
that's
A
uncomfortable.
business of action,
Man.
No.
program
And
of action.
this isn't so fun to do, but it will help you get to sleep. But I remember a broker told us years ago that every night before you go to sleep, take that contract and read it.
Yeah.
Read it before you fall asleep
Yep.
or whenever you have time. Because you really need to know it inside and out.
Yep.
And that's the only way to do it. So just have it right next to your bed. Keep looking at it.
Absolutely.
Now it's how many pages I
know.
forget. I should know, but it started when we first
Well, our mom
started.
likes to talk about back in the day, and we remember her having like
4
seriously like the mimeograph, like the little pieces.
Yeah,
of,
to make the copies.
well that, but
Yes.
the little pieces of dark paper in between.
Right,
like,
right,
to make
right.
multiple
Y-
copies.
Yeah, 3 copies press hard or
Right,
how,
3
what did
copies
they
press
say?
Oh my
hard,
God,
right.
that's
And-
so good.
And the contract was maybe a page and a half or something like that. You know, maybe a couple of pages.
Maybe a couple or
Yeah.
3, and now it's
Right.
it depends.
But
There's so many things that are added.
So
into
much has been added in, but back to your point too about just getting comfortable with it. You really do just have to do it. One suggestion would be get in with a team. You know, I
Okay.
think that's really helpful, or a brokerage where they have built-in people who will support you.
Sure.
And people
Maybe
who
a mentor
advise-
program.
Yeah.
but somebody who's out in the field that
Yes.
you can kind of track and trace. And but for us, it was just kind of built in. That gets back to kind of that history and that legacy of growing up around it, and then Tracy's experience. So, like to that point,
Right.
down in the beach colony, probably more than just about anybody else, Tracy really does. Sandi too, but Tracy prides himself on this. I mean, he can almost go lot by lot and tell you, well, this one's got this,
he
and this
sort
one's
of
got
can.
that, and that setback is there, and you got to be sure that
That's
you're aware
that's
of this.
that's
That one's
invaluable.
got
I
an
mean,
easement
that
that
one's
no
got
one
an
would know
easement that you
about, yeah.
probably wouldn't know about,
Right.
and so that is just comes with time.
Sure.
Just do it.
Well, and to speak of, the coastal area luxury, right? Anytime I hear luxury, I think of that Will Ferrell Saturday. When you think of the word luxury, you think of the most luxurious automobile, the Jaguar. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But
Will
if you
Ferrell.
a lot of agents that I talk to, they've got all these contacts in their CRM. And they're blasting out, they're emailing or texting, but it's the same generic messages.
Right.
So I always explain, take all of your contacts, what do you know about them, and then put them in silos. So you've got, so if you are, if you're reaching out to somebody who wants to live on the coast,
Right.
you're not going to be like, new properties available in, San Elijo Hills. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you have to speak to the goals and the needs and the wants and paint a picture of that lifestyle.
You're
So the
right.
more you know about that,
Yeah.
the better.
Yeah.
So
take the time to organize your CRM and set it up so that you aren't just blasting out to everybody.
Right.
That's a good idea.
That is-
Right.
That's a really good idea.
Right. So
That's a
within,
good idea. We might do that.
you should do
We
that.
should start doing
You
that.
should do that. But you guys, know your
too.
niche very well.
Yeah.
So what are the nuances, but from somebody who is a luxury seller or buyer on the coast, as opposed to somebody that you would sell, something to in North Park?
Right.
Like what, and what do they want? Like, I'm interested in, I always want to know what rich people like. So tell me, you guys, tell me about what rich people like.
We want to know too.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Well, when you're talking about the coast, of course, everybody wants ocean view. for the
Ocean
most part,
views.
right?
Sure.
That's often a
if
biggie.
if they can afford ocean view, that's usually a biggie. And you hear about agents that put this, maybe they're listing a home, they put it on the market, and they say peak of ocean view, and so it drives people in, and then they come and look at it, and then it is not a peak; it's barely a sliver, but
Right.
that's a big selling point.
For sure.
Well, one thing we've just on that note, and we are not part of that crowd necessarily either. Remember, we grew up there years ago, and
Right.
And so it was a whole different deal. But one thing that's really interesting that people don't realize, for example, speaking of that luxury market,
Yes.
is there's such a crossover and connection between like Rancho Santa Fe and Del Mar.
Sure.
And a lot of that has to do with horses, because a lot of people out in the ranch have horses, and then they're interested in the racetrack and so forth. And so we have noticed over the years that a lot of people with money, sometimes they're interested in a beach property just so they can have a place to go to the beach,
Right.
and have parking.
Right.
And seriously, that's one of the things
I
that
bought
you
this
end up
place for the parking
you
spot.
kind of end up talking to them about that.
No
Like,
kidding,
this
yeah.
one has 8 parking spaces, and their
Yeah.
eyes light up. The
That's a
house
big
might
deal.
not be so much, but the fact that it has 8 parking spaces,
Boom.
because what they're thinking about is family, and so the hot buttons are the hot buttons.
Sure.
Whether it's North Park or Del Mar or Rancho Santa Fe.
So there is like a kind of a common.
there always is, and
thread.
it always comes.
And
Yeah.
different, depending on all the areas have a different one.
And so many
Right.
times we've been
Yeah.
out with clients, and they talk about, oh, this would be a nice place for my kid to get married. This is a beautiful backyard. So you start listening. Each client is different, but just back to your point about kind of the luxury market, it is an interesting thing. Often too, it has to do with kind of privacy, and certainly that's true for Rancho Santa Fe.
Yes.
And even Del Mar, to a certain degree, people feel like they can just kind of meld in and not be the famous athletes who come down
Right.
there, people from Hollywood.
We have a lot
who
of
have
famous people down there, yeah.
and they can feel a little bit more anonymous. And even though people recognize them, people don't make a big deal out of it, and they're just like...
I do wonder though. I know everyone knows this. Bill Gates lives down there, in one of his.
Oh,
homes.
does he?
One of his
in
homes.
in Rancho
Are we
Santa
allowed
Fe?
to say that? Oh. Yeah,
Well,
yes,
I
we
think
are.
it's public knowledge.
It's public.
Yeah. No, I mean it's fine. I mean you're not saying like here's his address.
Here's his address, and here's the gate code.
But I do wonder how. Anyway, but obviously he's very secure. But how does the security?
How does that
How
work?
does that work? There's a beach in front
But this
of
is part of what we're talking about. So for a lot of these people
yeah.
who are, in some cases, world figures,
Sure.
there's just a sense of Del Mar and even San Diego, then to a certain degree, like, oh, I can just kind of come here and hang. So for people with money.
That's huge.
And the other
Huge.
side of that, by the way, Sandy and I remember we went up once to Los Angeles, up to Hollywood and Beverly Hills. It was some kind of broker kind of tour, and we were going up there to mingle with other agents and high-end agents. And we just remember going up there and coming back and being like, oh my God, San Diego's like chump change compared to Beverly Hills. So you have to keep that in mind. As crazy as it sounds, it's all relative
It is all relative.
It is.
to those people who have
One time, yeah,
Right.
one time a boss, who's a big CEO, very successful guy, and he's giving me advice one day. He's like, "Hey, you just like if you don't like doing something, just hire somebody to do it. Like, I don't like doing my laundry, I have somebody come and do it.
Right.
I don't like doing the dishes, I have somebody come and do it. You should do that." I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do that.
That's a great idea. That's
know?
a great idea.
But
It's a
it
good
just kind of
idea.
right. But it just shows you like the different,
Pers-
like
yeah.
to him, he's like,
Right.
"What are you doing? pay somebody to do that for
Yeah.
you.
Right.
And I'm, like, it's just such a disconnect,
Fine,
right?
I can either do that or eat.
Right,
You gotta
right,
pick. But
right.
for him, no big deal.
But that's
funny.
good.
That's
That's
funny.
good. So you take the time, and I'm sure you've had a lot
really
of
listen.
yeah.
Yeah.
So have you guys had a lot of like what's like the craziest thing that a high-end client asked you to do for them?
Oh, as far as like looking for, or just anything.
It could
right?
be anything.
Anything.
Like you hear stories about.
You're right. There
Oh,
are
can
some.
you run to Costco for me and
Right.
pick me up a birthday cake for my nephew?
Right.
Like
Right.
Right.
because you guys aren't just your shrinks, your emotional support, your event planners, your consultants. I mean, you can run the gamut as a real estate agent, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a
you
very
do.
emotionally intensive.
It's very intense.
But I can't. I mean, I do. It's every now and then I watch that the real estate shows on New York, or about New York real estate show that's out there right now, or any kind of show like
Yeah.
that, and you do see that a little bit where they're actually the agents are kind of at the beck and call for sure of their client. I don't feel
It's
like
not
it
exactly.
happens as much.
It's not
like
exactly like that. But we've.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had to do some pretty crazy things. I mean, mostly it's kind of prepping for an event or a party or an open house at somebody's property.
Sure.
Yes,
So we've been
which
out
we
there.
love doing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
We
fun.
love doing.
That's
Fun,
kind of the
fun.
run of the mill. I mean,
Yeah.
But I mean, we've
That's-
been
yeah.
in there, scrubbing out the sink if you need to.
Sure.
And,
That's
taking our
true.
jacket off
Yeah.
and doing whatever it takes. But a lot of
Almost always sweeping ahead of time.
Sweep- a
you
lot
know.
of
Not that
sweeping.
people don't sweep, but
Right.
we want it to look perfect.
But that's a high level of customer service.
Yes.
And I think when you're dealing with somebody who has a lot of money, they expect high level service. That's just a given, right?
you
Yeah.
really do have to keep that in mind at all.
You got to
times.
do that.
And
It's
we're
just the way it is.
happy to do it. I mean, you can't. This is not your time to go. Oh, I don't do that. You got to do it.
Exactly.
You gotta do whatever it is.
Yeah.
And, hopefully it's nothing too drastic.
But
And
obviously,
usually it's not.
we maintain our clients, privacy and anonymity and things like that. But you do get to know, for anybody who's interested in getting into the business, there's a lot of psychology involved, and a lot of that is really just listening. And we've often talked about it, that you get really involved with your clients really quickly for kind of a short period of time, hopefully a short period of time, right?
Right,
That it's not
right.
going to be a year. But in other words, people often sell properties for a number of different reasons. The top ones being marriage, divorce, or kids.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
Makes
so you're
sense.
involved with people often with really private parts of their lives going on, you know, and so you do hear about that, and then you have to know about their finances to a certain degree, and you have to understand, all of those things. So there's a lot of trust and a lot of, confidentiality. involved.
Confidentiality, yeah.
Definitely.
You said like a psychologist, sort of.
You have to go?
But
Very good. So I know that you worked in outside sales for a long
Yes.
time, right?
that's right. Yes, I did.
And that was before you got into real estate.
right.
So, and John, have you ever worked in sales?
Not a little bit, but not great. My experience with that is a funny one, but we will go into it now. I'm more in marketing, and
Sure.
so I moved to New York and worked for a big PR firm, and was in marketing and PR for years.
Okay. So what did you
great.
learn in doing sales, and what did you learn in marketing that you've been able to apply in real estate that you feel like gave you an edge over people who just were like, one day, I want to be a real estate agent and, throw money out of my Maserati when I'm driving down the road.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the
Because that's how it looks online.
That's how it looks online, and that's how
Yes,
it
it
looks.
does,
like,
right.
Yeah, right. Even some of these
Some of the shows.
TV shows, and
right?
stuff.
They
Yeah.
really, exactly. Well, let's see. In sales, first of all, everyone knows this. It is a numbers game, I do believe. At least in the beginning, when you're trying to get your client base going, it's really about contacting as many people as you can, in whichever way works for you. Then after you've been doing this for a long time, of course, you have a lot of repeat business. Almost predominantly, that's what we have, or primarily.
Which
So-
is great.
So that's
Right?
great, yeah, which is really nice. But it's a numbers game, and then just personable, be high energy, all of those good things that it takes to connect with people. And that's a fun thing. John and I both love talking to people and meeting new people and connecting with people. So if you like that already, then it's a good start.
Yeah.
Really good start.
We were talking about that we drove down separately, but we were on the phone just kind of chatting about this.
Yeah, I
and
just
chatting
drove.
about
God, are you guys
things.
brother and sister or
drove
something?
right by
I
the
know.
exit.
So
Yeah.
classic, right? And so, we do. we were talking about that and what a people biz this is, you know. So you really, I remember hearing once, it's from some guru, we went to some seminar or something, and he said everything begins and ends with people. Everything, you know, and it sounds so obvious, but it's really true. So you have to actually have an interest in and take an interest in. So it's the homes, which are really interesting, but it's the people who who buy the homes and populate them. So you really have to have an interest in your clients and what their motivations are.
100%.
About.
Like
And
the
so
psychology element,
the
like you
psychology
said.
Right.
of it. And
All
so
ties together.
And the numbers, you know, I mean, how important is it to track your numbers and your progress? You know, they say in
Right.
business, if you don't measure it, it doesn't
Right.
exist.
Exactly.
Yeah, my background was in management, my degrees, and mainly in statistics. So I'm able to kind of pull that in a little bit, although
Great.
the better part and the more fun part is definitely the people part of it. That's just so great.
But you do. and-
However you can connect.
Right. And we were talking about this too. So one little piece of advice I remember hearing that years ago down here when we were at Coldwell Banker is AM PM. So AM is
yeah.
admin and PM is prospecting. So come in and treat it like a freaking job. Don't think that you're just going to do this part time because it will never fly.
No.
Sure.
So treat it like a full-time job. And in the beginning, you're just trying to figure out a way to create work and business for yourself. But come in the mornings, clock in, suit up, and in the morning time, take care of any admin, any social media, any marketing, any client, you know, client outreach.
Well, you every morning you check your hot sheet, you know, find out what's new on the market or what's sold, what's pending, what's inactive now, all of that. So that takes a certain amount
That's
of time.
right.
Yeah.
You've got clients looking in a certain area. Maybe it's not the area that is your farm area that you know inside and out. But, you know, so then you're checking that area for them and doing a big, I don't know, whatever search, looking at whatever you can find out about that area. So you're spending time doing all those
Know
kinds
the
of
market
things.
inside and
Social
out.
Sure.
media,
Know
it
what's on
inside
the
and out.
market.
Yeah, I always tell my clients, you
Yeah.
know, when I've gone to like different speaking engagements, and I'll say, you know, you guys are all real estate agents, so what's your job? And they all say, well, to help people buy and sell houses. I go, no, it's your job to be the community expert.
Right.
That's right.
The expert in your, like, yes, you
For
need to help people
everything.
buy and sell homes, but
Yeah.
you need to know the community, the people, the businesses, what makes it tick, who wants to come, who's leaving, where are they going,
Right.
all
yeah.
that stuff, because that's, you know, if I'm going to move somewhere and I'm speaking to somebody, I want the person that knows the most about not just the house, but everything, you know, where are the schools, where are the businesses.
yeah.
I really enjoy, you know, going to movies. How close is the movie theater?
Right.
You know, my
Right.
wife has an addiction to PF Chang's. Is there one of those nearby?
What is it? I wanna hear
Yeah,
it.
yeah, right. Ooh, addictions.
That's fun.
But you know, so it's, I mean, that kind of stuff. It's in order to really excel, I feel like you have to go beyond just the property.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's all those little pieces of, those are the great things to do, like John's saying, in the morning. You know, that kind of admin, or it's not just
Yeah.
admin, but your research and all of that.
Right.
And then PM,
Prospecting.
clearly prospecting. You get out and do whatever it is that you enjoy doing. Make it fun.
Just not door
You know,
knocking.
No,
My
but
God.
Some people like
No,
door knocking.
my
believe
hat
it or
is
not.
off to
My hat is
anybody.
I
way
know.
off.
I can't. I tried it, and I made, you know, like the first. I'm so sensitive. Like the first time somebody was like, "Get out of here," I was like, "Okay, I'm
You're
sorry,
like, "I'm so
sir.
sorry."
You know, don't call the police. I'm never
know.
doing this again.
We knew a guy
know.
down here in the neighborhood that will remain nameless. He's long since retired, but in our neighborhood, and he just owned that neighborhood, and that's how he did it. But
Yeah.
the reason is, God bless him, he wasn't Mr. Personality. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Sean and and then Sandi and Tracy, it just fits who we are. That much of our prospecting is social. You know,
Yeah,
it's either
right.
playing some tennis with somebody, going for a run. Sandi has her little
Yeah.
walking club and
Yeah.
her book club. Going out, a lot of what we end up doing for some of these properties, especially since the view is the thing and the evening view, is we will host some kind of cocktail party
Yes.
or
Something sunset
Yes.
related.
sunset
because, you know,
oriented.
Yep.
Different time of day when people are getting off of work. They want to maybe hit the beach, especially in the summertime. We have parking. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
can reach out and go, yeah, you're looking for a parking space? We're having an open house at this property down here.
Right.
Come by and see us.
Ooh, I like that.
You know what I
know,
mean?
right?
That's smart.
Right.
I know.
So on that line, since you worked in marketing back in the day.
It's almost like the Mad Men day. It's not quite, but we were
But
smoking.
right,
in
but
our
the
cube. We were
foundations
smoking in
and the
our
principles.
cubes.
You're
No.
We were
drinking.
We were.
I think one of the
My
reasons I like
older
that show is
brother.
because they're just drinking all day long.
Yeah.
You're just like, how did they
How do you get
function?
anything
like,
done?
right?
I
This was
know.
actually more in the 90s, not the 50s, but still,
Right.
a lot of it was true. But anyway,
Yeah. So I mean,
funny.
you know, what foundational pieces did you learn doing that you were able to apply to real estate?
well, one of them is
John was a bigwig at this thing. He's so
I ended
He
up having-
downplays
I ended
He's
up having-
downplaying
I had
at
a
this
really
company.
fun job. And so for me personally, but we've all talked about it, and we've
Yeah.
all gotten together as a team and done strategic planning. That's what I ended up getting to do, and they flew me all around the country and the world, and I got
Oh,
to
wow.
live in Hong Kong and stuff. It was really strategic planning, but what that came down to was audience analysis and understanding what their hot buttons are. Their rational and emotional hot buttons.
There you go.
Right.
So rational are things like size of house, you know, what
Number
they
of
say they're
bedrooms,
looking for,
yeah,
number of
or-
bedrooms.
Right.
But then the emotional part, and this is the part where you really have to do some digging, and so sometimes over a glass of wine helps. Because
Absolutely.
They start
Most
to
times it
reveal
does.
to you what it really is.
Yes.
And sometimes it's different for the wife than it is
Right.
for the husband.
Oh,
or the-
totally.
Or
So
the
then-
one husband and the other husband, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
yeah, and you have to
understanding that.
Kind of bridge that. So you're saying a pool is really important, and you're saying tennis court's really important, or whatever
Or
it might be, or
something.
something. And so, okay, can we maybe make do with a extra large jacuzzi and a pickleball court? I don't know, something
Right.
like that.
Sure.
Kind of make it work for both.
One thing
people.
that we've always talked
not
about,
always
no
that,
matter
but-
kind of what the price point is, people come in and they'll look at like the dining room and the kitchen, and they talk about these ideas of like these holidays, these big family
Right.
holidays.
That is a hot button.
And the truth of it is, sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. But that is the image that they have in their minds. So
Right.
the idea is you have to understand that and realize that whatever that is for them is what's important, And so it's a lot of
We
listening.
actually had somebody once pass on a house that the husband loved, and they celebrated Christmas. But it was all glass. The home, it was gorgeous, so much glass and very open concept. And the wife could not figure out where the Christmas tree was going to go.
Oh, boy.
I'm not kidding. And so
Right.
she couldn't, and so they passed on that.
They passed on that.
Yeah.
again,
don't
that-
don't
that-
you kind of sell? I
that
mean,
sounds
like
kind of funny,
you
but it
kind of
was
sell
true.
to the wife, anyways, don't you? I mean, I'm not trying. I'm not trying to be
Right, sexist or
stereotypical here,
whatever,
but
right.
usually, as a guy, I mean, usually it's like, look, if they got one room where I can hang my guitars up, I'm cool as long as she's happy, and the
kinda
wife's like, well,
true.
I need that. You know what I
I
mean?
need the kitchen with all of the
Sure.
everything. And
It's not kind of a running joke or stereotype for no reason.
Right,
I'll say
right,
that.
right,
I mean,
right.
There is definitely an element of that, because back to the rational and the emotional. Guess what actually motivates people to do something? It's the emotion.
Emotion.
It's never the rational stuff.
Sure.
They can say all day long, I want this, 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 and this. If they fall in love with it
Yeah.
for some emotional
Yeah.
reason, it will have none
Right.
of what
Yeah.
they
It
will have
also-
none of what they told us that
no,
they
it goes out the
actually
door.
need.
So it doesn't. It only has 2 bedrooms, but you told us you had to have 3 bedrooms.
Right.
Absolutely.
No,
3 or
but
more.
this house reminds
But
me
then
of
they
the
go-
house I grew up in when I was a
Right.
kid.
So
And
they're
we'll,
like,
and we'll put the kid in the garage.
we'll make 2. Right. We'll make 2.
It's fine.
He'll be fine.
Right, he'll be fine.
It builds character.
3
Yeah.
kids in 1 room is fine.
We'll invite
Yeah.
him for that big Thanksgiving dinner that we're gonna have.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, I
Because,
love
right,
that.
because I love the kitchen.
Right, because I love the
So-
kitchen.
or
So
whatever it is.
We have come across that, and again, that's kind of transcends
And I get it. I'm
price
that way
point
too.
and
Yep.
size of house. It's really
Yeah, and you got to
interesting.
dig a little bit for some
Right.
of that stuff.
You have to listen, and you do become close with your
Mm-hmm.
clients in that degree, because they're basically entrusting you with no matter what price point, one of the
Right.
largest decisions and purchases are
Right.
going to
Yeah,
make
it's
in
not
their
like
life.
buying
Very
sneakers
emotional
here, you know?
decision,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
It's a super emotional
Yeah,
decision.
very.
Yeah.
And financial, of course, duh, but super emotional.
Yeah.
I used to work at an escrow company. Now, I never did anything
A
like
lot of good jobs.
with escrow. Well, it was in marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have seen some of the emails and texts back and forth between clients, agents, and I'm just like, oh my god, be careful. This person might kill you. You know what I mean? And then usually at the end, it's like, oh, sorry about that. But it is. There's so much. Like if you go into this and you're not already, if you're just like a brunt and emotionless, I mean, unless you meet like a real type of person, you're going to have a hard time.
You're going to have a hard time.
Right?
You do have to be thick-skinned. You're right.
Yeah.
And if you're not typically, and most of us aren't always, you have to really work on that.
And tough when you need to be. You know what I mean?
shoulders.
So,
yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think we got this from Mom too. She said, yeah, it's kind of realtors and lawyers are the same. When it comes down to it, you kind of want the toughest SOB that you need.
Right.
And
That's right.
it's not quite like that in real estate, but there will come times, and especially the higher price point that you go, because these people are experienced, they're often sophisticated, they have money, they're used to getting their way. It gets tough.
They'll try to run roughshod over
We
you.
have had more than our fair share of tough conversations.
We take continuing ed, and all realtors do take every 4 years. You have to, renew your license, but we take classes on negotiation and just everything.
Right.
Negotiating's huge.
Yeah,
and you have to be
yeah.
really good at it, and that's when you do have to be tough. You don't have to be an asshole, but
Yeah.
you have to be
a
tough.
jerk.
But you could say, like, look, if I just caved on everything you wanted when I'm negotiating on your behalf, like,
Right.
should I, I would probably just cave then too, right? Like,
Well,
I
right.
know.
we got to come to an understanding here, but I have to be able to negotiate as your fiduciary
Right.
on your behalf. So,
Right.
right?
It's
Yes.
so it's a constant balancing act.
Exactly. Constant.
And,
That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah, and then the other side of that is some level of compromise, and also it gets back to the experience thing. And so often we find ourselves, because people will get emotional and they'll get hung up on what seems like a fairly small thing.
Sure.
And so often a big part of our job is to kind of step back and help them step back a little bit and just go, you know what, I'm just letting you know, I've seen this so many times where we are so close to the finish line here, and people have lost homes that they love over something really, really small, and then they've really regretted it.
Yeah, so you kind of like hold their hand and
You kind of
walk them
hand.
through the pain
and help them because they get
help
so
them get
into
the
it.
overall picture,
Get the bigger
or
picture.
look down the road. And really, we have been fortunate. I don't think we have lost a sale based on some little thing, but you hear about this where all of a sudden the wife or husband, whoever, is fixated on a certain sconce, and the seller does not want to include that sconce or the matching sconces for whatever, I don't know.
and the whole deal crumbles.
And the whole deal
Or a
crumbles.
refrigerator. That's a big one, believe it or not.
Man.
It
And
off-
so,
it can
right?
really come down to the
The
refrigerator.
fridge.
Come down.
I could see that as a man thing. Hey,
And
tell
so
me
we-
about the fridge.
The fridge, but you said it was this.
The
and
seller's
it's
buying
that.
the fridge.
Right.
We have not lost a deal over the
No.
refrigerator. I don't know if we've either bought somebody a refrigerator or
Sometimes
something.
that's what you do. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
why not? Look, I mean,
Why
if
not?
you're selling a $4 million listing in Del Mar,
Right.
shit, I'll buy a fridge for
Everybody's
you. No problem.
everybody's very aware of what the monies are and where the monies are going and so forth. So yeah, no, there is definitely you as an agent, you have to be willing to help bridge those gaps.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, you really do, because it's a lot of money for people, no matter what, and no matter how much money they have.
Okay, so speaking of having to like dig deep to kind of get to know people,
Yeah.
I'm gonna play a little game with you guys. You guys like games?
Let's do games.
Sure.
I think so.
All right, this is called Finish the Sentence.
Oh, okay.
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 So I'm gonna just tell you a sentence, and you're each gonna give me your answers.
Okay.
All right. Are you guys ready to get to know John and Sandy? Here we go.
Yikes.
John first. If I wasn't a real estate agent, I would be.
I don't know. I might be like interested in TV and films or something.
Oh, so an actor?
Yeah, maybe an actor.
Now, are you really an actor?
I am.
You are an
Yes.
actor.
I am.
Very good one, too.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He
Yeah.
you can play a doctor like nobody's business.
That's right.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
is very good at doctors. That's
Usually
right.
bad
and
doctors.
lawyers.
Usually
Bad
bad doctors.
doctors.
Yeah, there's something about my face that goes from, oh, I think he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
The villain.
Or is he a serial killer?
Like a Walter White type, like
a little bit
Dexter
of that.
type.
A
you
little
like-
Dexter.
Are you like Drake DeMore? Was he a good one or a bad one?
Yeah, I don't
On
know.
Friends,
about,
I can't remember.
Yeah, on Friends. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
but anyway.
He just fell down elevator shafts.
That's
so,
right. I think he was
yeah.
a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, so I am, and that's something that I decided to pursue relatively late in life. And so that is part of the beauty of being a real estate agent, is it does provide you some flexibility and things like that.
For sure.
And then there are crossovers. So for example, for all of our lot of our marketing stuff, I am the quote unquote
You're the guy.
talent and spokesperson. So I'll go in and I know a thing or two about how to deliver a line, and so I'll give a tour and involve Sandi and Tracy if they want to be. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Depends on if it's
They're
a
very
good hair
they're
day.
very humble, right? It depends on the hair day. And so, but clients kind of like that, and it adds kind of a level of things, because that is, as you know, a marketing trend where people are hiring actors to come in, and when you're doing your videos, you're having people in there and creating kind of lifestyle,
Very
creating
convenient to have
lifestyle
them.
things. And so we've done that, and I've invited some of my actor friends. One of them, a beautiful woman up in Solana Beach. She actually was a client, but she's an actress as well. She and I played husband and wife.
Oh,
for
really?
This very high-end, beautiful home that we had listed in Del Mar a few years ago. And we didn't have any lines, but we were just back there kind of doing lifestyle-y things.
Right,
having
because you want to
wine.
paint the
We were
picture
kind
of
painting
what
the
it
picture.
looks like
Right.
when you
It
live
came
here.
out beautifully.
And
too.
it did come out
really
beautifully.
nice.
Yeah, she's particularly beautiful. And so she was by the pool
Yeah.
Yep.
and this and that.
Sell them the lifestyle.
Kind of sell them the lifestyle. And people like all of that, of course, with social media and all of that. It's,
Right.
everybody wants to see people and faces and bodies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really,
It
really
comes in
good.
very handy.
Yes, it does. All right, are you ready for a question?
Yes, but I just want to add that I love that he took that risk, or not risk, but that
That's a
he
risk.
jumped in at a later time in his young life and went for it, and he still is so awesome with real estate and does all of our marketing and does such a great job, but took that risk and jumped in and went and did something
It
that
is-
is really his.
Thanks.
his
It's
love.
admirable.
It
We've had
is.
talk because I'm a musician, touring musician.
I know.
I've been working on that. I mean, that's why I moved out here. I didn't think about a podcast host or a
And
digital
super
marketer.
good, by the way, anybody. So follow
I
Max
know,
and
I
watch where
can't-
he's
I-
going to be
Yeah,
playing
I
next.
know.
Thank you. But we've
Yeah.
had many talks about, look at them and look at what the success they're having, and I
Right.
missed this opportunity, and I'm almost
Woulda,
40. Maybe
coulda.
I'm too old, and I can't.
No.
You just that negative self-talk, which, by the way, can get in with business too.
It can.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I've almost quit my business. Like, my girlfriends had to talk me down off the ledge, like, many a time.
Well, right.
Just because, like, I'm going to be homeless in 2 years and, all this kind of stuff. So,
No,
And we
you're
could
too
ta-
good at what you do.
He
But I
is.
know that things don't always just happen immediately either.
They don't,
you
so
know?
it's patience.
You have to hang in there, yep.
Right.
Well, it
Hang in
applies to this too, And
Yes.
so, and this business is very up and down. So, yeah, you've got to have a thick skin, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to really be self-motivated in real estate too.
Yes.
Just like some of these other
Yep.
pursuits that are creative and have really, Sandy's being very generous, but yeah, make absolutely no sense whatsoever on a number of different levels. So you got to kind of love it, and you've got to figure out how to ride the waves, and then
Right.
self-motivate so that when times are slow, you're still doing things to work toward your business
When
and
we
to
were
your goals.
first starting, and we still do it a little bit now, but mainly for close friends, but we took on quite a few rentals. And you can make some commission there, but then we would help, we weren't full-on property managers, but help the owners, because they're often out of town or out of state, to run those, and then they'd pay us monthly or something. That was a kind of a base salary, a base income, so that would help you out.
And then you're in with them, and then they trust you.
And
And
then
guess
they-
what? When it comes time
time
for
to
them
sell.
to think about selling that property,
Of
you're
course.
the first one that they
Great
turn
thing
to.
for new agents to do is try to get some rentals going.
Try
if
to
you
get
can,
some rentals
however you
going.
can. It might seem
All
like
right.
an awful lot of work with not a lot of income, but you're building your clientele.
Work,
Sure.
work
It's
begets
really
work.
worth
So
it.
whatever
Yep.
you need
Yeah.
to do to
And it's
actually
fun.
generate some business and some
Yeah.
work always begets work. So just keep working and doing
Yeah, I did a lot of
Right.
free work when I first started building my marketing
Yes.
business.
Well, you have to.
I just want a
Exactly.
portfolio. I'll do this for free. Just give me a
Resume
shot.
building.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. All resume
So-
building.
Same
I
thing.
know. I
Yeah.
know.
So what's her?
All right, her question. Okay.
But
Are you ready?
I want a different one.
I'll give you
Oh,
a
it's
different one.
different.
I'll give you a
It's gonna
different
be
one.
Oh no, wait.
All right.
I was ready for the other one.
Well, that's the point, right? I got to surprise you. What's okay? Let's see.
Oh God.
Oh God, he has to even
If-
think of it.
The biggest life skill that I learned from my parents is
Oh God, I know there's a number of them because I think about that. It crosses my mind daily. My mom or my grandmother, or but what are those things? Right
you
now,
can
I
pick.
can't.
I mean, you can just pick one. And John, if you'd like, you can always answer this
Yeah,
too.
no, I'll think about
Yeah,
it too.
help me out because of course we've learned so many things. Well, I guess it goes along with having a thick skin, and just don't take yourself too seriously. If you can try to do that.
I love that.
And you get, real estate in particular is very competitive. Most occupations are. And
Southern California real
Yes,
estate.
yes.
Like it's if you can be a successful agent in San Diego or LA, you can
Right.
pretty much do it anywhere.
You have to
I think
remember,
you're right, yeah.
all of your
New York.
friends probably know 5 realtors, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
So it's a thing
Especially
to keep.
after
It's a
the
thing to keep
pandemic.
in mind.
Yeah.
I believe the average consumer knows 12.
Right.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, well, like during the pandemic, so many people quit their jobs and went and we'll get into real estate because the market was booming.
Right.
So then
Now,
there's
see,
even
all those
more,
part-time agents dropped off now.
but they're dropping off. Yeah.
One thing, if I may, as far as mom, because we did learn a lot from our mom, and she's still
Yeah, she's a
around.
smart
God bless her.
cookie.
She's a smart cookie. But she always had this ability to kind of step back and not. We've talked about how emotional the business is, but she would always just kind of keep it real calm. Like her main thing was,
Right.
don't ever fan the flames. Like there will be plenty of flames between the buyer and seller.
Because it's emotional.
It's emotional. It's competitive. Somebody's going to get pissed off.
Nobody likes feeling like they're getting ripped off.
Nobody
Right.
wants to
It's
feel like they're
very
Even if they're not.
natural for them.
Right.
It's
Yep.
natural to have this happen.
So I would say one of the
how do
main
you deal with
things
it?
that we learned from
Yeah.
her over the years is just always just kind of stay real cool on that, and don't.
breath.
And a lot of newer agents, I see them, they get kind of caught up in it. And then they think that their client wants them to and then they'll kind of fan the flames with
Right.
the other agent,
Right.
and they'll kind of say something, and we're just like, don't do that. One of my
People
very,
are too smart. They know what you're
One of
doing.
my
They
very-
don't go for that.
At one point, I worked out in the ranch, and so this was back kind of before we formed Powerhouse Properties, and I was invited by somebody I knew to come out and be the assistant manager for the Coldwell Banker office out in Rancho Santa Fe. Anyway, there was a woman there, and Sandi knows her too, and she has since passed, and we both just loved her, but she was just classic Rancho Santa Fe, always in the Chanel suit, everything.
Oh, yeah.
But she was such a smart cookie. One time she was telling us this story. She said there were these buyer and seller kind of got together in the house, and they were really getting heated, and they were going at it. And I turned to her and I said, "And what did you say?" And she looked at me and she smoked cigarettes, and she goes, "Not one goddamn thing."
I went out and had a cigarette
Right,
break.
went out and had a cigarette break.
Yeah.
And I will
And they
never
worked it
forget
out.
that. Just keep your mouth shut and try to keep it as calm as possible. That's a
Right.
big part of what the deal is.
You don't need to add your hot
You do
2
not
cents
need
in.
to add your hot 2 cents.
Right. Not at that moment.
Or
Yep.
Not in that way, but yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really good. That's really good. So have a thick skin. I
Yes.
like it. That's very important.
Have a thick skin and try to keep some perspective about it all and help your clients keep some
And
perspective.
I remember we worked for a company years ago too, Dyson, and Lorraine and Bob would both say, try to make it fun. It can be, it is really a fun occupation, a fun job. So just try to make it as
You meet
fun
some
as
of
you
the-
can.
you meet so many
Whatever
cool
makes
people,
fun.
right?
So many cool people, and you see
And you see
all
Yes.
kinds of cool houses.
really
and-
wonderful homes. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be fun. The stress aside, the rest of it is fun. So have fun with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, before we close it out, I want to talk about one thing because you guys have been around the real estate game for a while. Okay. Now, when I first moved here, I had my license and I was with Keller Williams first, and then Benyon DeVille, and then Harcourts. Like I kind of ran, did the thing. Now, when I was at Harcourts, they told me look, you need clients, so get a suit, clean up, just make yourself look as general and business-like as possible.
Yeah.
And you can cast a wide net and you meet more people. And I thought there was something to that. I said, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Right.
Then another person at Benyon DeVille is like, dude, you got the rocker thing going on. He's like, don't be generic like everybody. Talk to everybody in the music community and try. You could be like the rock star agent. That could be your brand, your
Right,
thing.
right.
Now I think there's
Yeah.
good points here, right?
Right.
Because I've had buddies. I engaged in some criminal activities when I was a kid, so I've had buddies that
That's
are.
why we love
This
you, bud.
sounds interesting.
Yes, I did. But I've had younger friends here that will get in trouble and they got to go to court, and they'll be a giant beard and gauges in their ears, and I'm like, dude, take the gauge out,
Right.
shave.
Yeah.
Don't do stubble, shave
All of
completely.
it. Yeah.
Get a suit. Like, I wish it wasn't like that. I wish everybody
know.
accepted. Cover up your tattoos.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, there's still something to that. You want to look
first impression.
you want to look
type
put
thing, yeah.
together, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If I'm buying a Harley, I don't want to buy it from a guy in a suit. I want to buy it from a
right.
guy who looks long hair in the beard. You know what I
the
mean?
flip side,
So this
yeah.
whole, how do you brand it? Should I look like everybody else or should I do my own thing? Like, tell me about that. Is how important is authenticity and being yourself and letting that speak to your brand? Is there anything to
Very.
that? What do you guys
Oh,
think?
Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
lot
I mean,
to it.
that's very, very important. Authenticity.
Yeah.
And right. And hopefully you create your brand to kind of fit who you are too. A little
Yeah.
bit,
Or who
and
your
have a-
client is, I've
and
heard.
who your client is, yeah. But then
Right.
But then if you're comfortable in what you've created too, you're going to draw people.
Your
trying to
tribe.
say,
Your
you know
vibe
what I
attracts your
The-
tribe.
Right.
It does.
Right. Yeah. That's,
Right?
Yep. Exactly.
And one of the
I'm
things
gonna
that's
use
been
that.
so nice
Should.
about a team, and especially a family team, because the trust is there, and we all know each other so well, right?
Right.
And we really do end up complimenting each other, and so we've often joked, Tracy, his whole vibe is beach colony, so he's out showing properties often in the summertime in flip flops and shorts.
Right. Because
And that's-
beachy, right?
That's his
Right.
deal, and it
And that's
fits,
his
and it's
comfort
very
zone.
authentic.
There you go.
Yep.
There's something comforting with
My
that.
vibe, having been in New York, is a little more buttoned up,
Yep.
you know. So I
Right.
maybe don't put the suit on and all of that,
Yep.
but I kind of show up a little bit more like that guy, and
Yep.
that kind of complements that, you know. And Sandy's a nice combination
Maybe
of both.
I have a
you
business
know.
background. I was used
Yeah.
to, being dressed more buttoned up too. But
Yeah.
really, it is nice to. It's Southern California.
Yeah,
so you
no.
don't
When I
have
when
to,
I moved
right?
here, came from the Midwest, and you know
Yeah.
when I moved here, my first job, what is it? I've been a job interview.
Yeah,
Right.
Your
It's
It's
first
been so
interview.
long.
right?
I know.
Yeah, right.
I know.
I'm not employable anymore. But it's been so long. But I went in a suit, and the guy who was interviewing me, who was the
know.
CEO, looked like me.
I know.
And he's like, dude, I just like, you didn't have to do that. And I'm just like, well, but I do believe there's no such thing as being overdressed.
I
right?
agree with you. I do.
You
agree.
can look a little out of place.
Yeah.
But the first time you
better
show
than
up,
the reverse.
better. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Right.
but I noticed that too. There's a lot of flip flops and huge beards and stuff. And
Right.
back home, like that's like you
No.
couldn't dress like
But
that.
the
couldn't dress like
CEO
that.
kind of earned that, or whoever you're talking
Sure,
to. So
but
he-
but
right,
everybody
but-
in the companies do.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
they
mean?
are
It's really it's
casual.
liberal, and I like that. I
Yeah,
do.
I do too.
But I'm more like that too. A little
Right.
more clean cut and things like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Except
then
for
they
the-
say
except for the
dress for
sleeves.
the job.
except for the tattoos.
Right.
Yeah,
yeah,
except
we'll
for the
have to hear
tattoos.
about this. I want to hear the
No,
stories.
Yeah,
Well,
he's a
they're-
rocker through and through.
Yeah. I'm in a band, so I can
Yeah, you can get
Right.
away
I
with
can
it.
wear women's accessories. I can I can tattoo my body. I could do a face tattoo, but that's just a no for me.
But in
Yeah.
general, I would say it gets back to yeah, right. It gets back to the thing of no matter what, treat it like a job. So and you do have to kind of know your audience and read the room. And so it depends on where you are and what your neighborhood is or with the area that you're serving. That probably could play a little bit of a part in it. Don't be
Who your
anything
client
other than
is,
who
right.
you and who your client is. Don't be
Right.
anything other than who you are. That's going to be the very thing that cements your client relationship, the authenticity.
This guy's authentic.
It
Yep.
really will.
Yeah.
People, especially, people can just in general, right? Everybody's really good at reading BS,
Yeah.
So don't put on airs. Don't do anything that's not within your wheelhouse. But no matter what, treat it like a profession.
Right.
So whatever that means
Dress
to you
for the job.
and whatever that looks like.
Dress
Yeah.
for the job.
You know what I mean?
want.
If you're going to do jeans and boots, go get a pretty nice pair of jeans and boots.
Sure.
You know
A
what I
nice
mean?
button down.
And look presentable. Don't look
Yep.
homeless,
Yep.
But so show up kind of appropriately.
Yes.
But yeah, keep it authentic.
We
Yeah.
still dress for listing appointments. We're dressed. We're
Yeah.
dressed in
Yeah.
business attire.
Yep.
Yeah, some kind of
me.
business attire.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of SoCal.
Yeah. Like
California.
just because it's San Diego doesn't mean you have to, get a bone through your nose and,
Right.
Right.
and wear shorts and, a graphic tee.
But
you
you-
can have, you can do like a little collared t-shirt and,
Right.
Yeah.
some khakis or
Or-
something like that. And,
Tracy's
something.
worn a suit, a number of times to an appointment, but a tie, I don't think he's put a tie on in years.
Right.
So
Do a
somewhere in the
sport
middle.
coat, something
Right.
like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And he's not always just in shorts, but I'm just saying it. But
No.
it works really, really well for him, particularly
Yep.
down there in the beach colony, because he's walking around, he's talking to all the neighbors.
Yep.
That's how he
and
talks and
that's
keeps them.
what they all are wearing, you know. But then for sure, for a listing appointment,
And that's how he keeps in touch with so many of our clients down there, is just by walking the dog or riding his bike or walking around the neighborhood.
I'll tell you,
know?
there's something to be said for it.
Yeah.
We joke about
You
Tracy,
don't have to
and
actually
we
knock on the door.
often, any one of us will just be like, yeah, I saw Tracy. You know, we were just driving around somewhere in North County, and he's just kind of going around.
He's around.
He's checking out properties. He's checking out neighborhoods. He's got somebody in mind. And
Yep.
so, yeah, he just does that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows these neighborhoods inside and out,
He
just
really
like
does.
John said. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
really, really good. Okay, well, look, you guys heard it from John and Sandy from Powerhouse Properties in Del Mar. If you are looking to move here to North County or anywhere in San Diego, there's nobody better that can help you out. I'm
thanks,
telling
buddy.
you,
Thanks,
especially if you're a
Max.
luxury client and you want, vaulted ceilings and 3 gazebos in your backyard. These guys can find that. Well, I'm not, no promises, but
No, it's
no
the-
promises.
Right, we'll-
that third gazebo could be
That
tricky.
third
That
gazebo might be tricky.
But I don't know. I'm thinking of a property right now that might work.
See, that's what I'm telling you.
Right, she's
So
already
how do we
gotten her
connect
head.
with? How do we connect?
Yeah.
Tell them phone number,
Phone number?
email. Let you know.
So, yeah, go.
Phone. I love text messages, phone calls. So I can be reached at 858-342-1251.
Right.
Sandy Weaver.
Yep.
right.
And I'm 619-895-2144. And you can always reach us on Facebook,
Right.
Powerhouse Properties, and Instagram.
Website,
And then a
all of it.
website, powerhousepropertiesca.com.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so definitely reach out, check out their stuff. Since you are an actor as well, what's the newest project
I'm only
and
acting.
where can people find it?
It's what people always ask. So much of the stuff that I've done has been kind of independent and smaller, and so you kind of have to dig around for it a little bit. But the latest
He's
project,
being modest.
the latest project was a feature-length film of which I was one of the leads, and we filmed for about 30 days, shoot days.
Very cool.
So it was 45-day calendar days, and that just wrapped. And it's called "If You Should Leave Before Me," and it's kind of a love story. It's a little bit of a cross between Everything Everywhere All at Once. And
Oh, yeah.
the gay episode from The Last of Us, the zombie.
Oh,
apocalypse
okay.
movie. Yeah.
Okay.
So
And not Ghost? No.
I am dead.
but
in
the
it.
Ghost movie.
Right, a little
No?
bit of Ghost, a little bit of
Maybe.
Ghost, maybe. Anyway, we have high hopes for it.
Good.
We're going to see it. Could be an indie darling. It's kind of defies genre, so we'll see. But that will be we'll be hitting festivals and so forth early next year.
Awesome. That's so exciting.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for coming
It's been
on.
so much
Thank
fun,
you.
man.
Yeah.
You're really
Fun,
good at
Max.
this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Yes.
Max.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You
I
should
do.
Stick with this. You're really good at this.
All right. Well,
I know
Tune
you are.
in.
I know you are sticking with it.
Tune in
but-
and
I'll
track
stick
out
with
where
it.
he's playing next.
Yeah, I can
I
talk
know.
all about it. If I ever do like a solo episode, I can talk about that, right?
Yeah.
But no, so these guys are the real deal. I always appreciate, likes, comments, follows, shares. So stay tuned until I see you again on the next episode of Elite Zone. But until then, have a great week, everybody.
Awesome.
Have a great week.
See
Happy
ya.
4th.
Happy 4th. Thanks, bud.